Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop Thursday Night Football Preview. We got the Saints, we got the Cardinals. As always, The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Huss, brought to you by our partners at Coolbet. If you're not signed up for an account today, you might as well. Go to coolbet.com, sign up, enter the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and it'll be a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit, up to 200 bones. Huss, how are you, buddy?
I'm well. Fun game for Jets fans last night. White knuckle ride, which I mean is pretty much par for the course when you're taking on the Colorado Avalanche. But yeah, our guy, the Pionky Tonk man in OT, Neil Pionk, and now off to Vegas tonight. And obviously we were hitting the CFL numbers yesterday. But shout out to you for a no sweat, easy first period cash on your Carter Verhaeghe prop. And I had the exact opposite, had to wait until a West Coast game into overtime to get the win on the Blues. But 2-0 last night. That was a nice way to sort of get into the football part of the week, beginning with tonight's Thursday Nighter.
Well, yeah, let's dive right into this Thursday Nighter. Once again, if you're watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast. Just search The Lock Shop, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast, search The Lock Shop. You should find it. If for some reason you can't find it, hit me up, slide into my DMs on Twitter, and I'll help you out. But you should be able to find it. If you've got a favorite play for the game tonight, hit us up in the comments section. Would love to see where some of you are leaning or already locked in on tonight's game. Huss, we're going to ride together here on Arizona -2.5. Then we'll talk about some totals and some player props. And it's weird. It's video game release week. The Cardinals have been brutal at home, but we're still going to hop on Arizona -2.5 here. What's your main reason for doing that?
It's the last ride for the Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury if they don't get this win. They are 2-4. And what I'm about to say is going to be in stark contrast to the picks I'm about to make. They are the worst passing offense in the National Football League. They haven't been particularly good on the defensive side of the football either. The rubber's going to hit the road right now for the Arizona Cardinals. This is their season tonight. And, listen, there have been some glimpses of brilliance from Kyler Murray, but it really hasn't been in the passing game. He averaged 10 yards a carry last week, had 100 yards on 10 carries. But really, it comes down to they've just been throwing to Zach Ertz. Probably Brown is out. They've added Robbie Anderson. But the big addition, of course, is DeAndre Hopkins. And Hopkins,
huge.
I heard Dan Orlovsky say he's probably the best receiver of getting open when you're not open. I mean, he can make any sort of a catch, even if he's covered without any separation. And I think that's exactly what Kyler Murray needs right now. I think that they'll be aggressive. I think they'll go to Hopkins early on. I think that they will really try and establish that threat that will maybe help them run the football a little bit more. And the bottom line, keep the football away from the New Orleans Saints. So both of these teams stink. I mean, they're 2-4 for a reason. But at home, with what is on the line, both for the team and the head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, I'm giving Arizona one more shot tonight, and I'm taking the -2.5. And as I said, despite everything I just said about how ugly their performance has been, especially offensively and in the air, I actually think that the reemergence of Hopkins is going to be a massive, massive boost to the Arizona offense. And for that reason, I'm actually going to take the over 44. We haven't had an over for a while in a primetime game.
I know.
We are very much due. The Cardinals are due. Nuke is back. So we'll see if we can get this one right. Arizona -2.5, and we'll take the over 44 because I do think the Saints, led by Alvin Kamara, are going to be able to put up some points as well.
Well, and then that's the, led by Alvin Kamara is big. But the reason I'm on Arizona here is because they're missing so many. Like, you got Andy Dalton with Chris Olave, who's great. I understand that. And then you got Alvin Kamara. No Jarvis Landry. No Michael Thomas. They won't have Marshawn Lattimore, who's their best. I mean, of all the games, you want that guy. It's this game with DeAndre Hopkins returning. That's going to hurt as well, big time. So they're missing. I mean, the Troutman's out. There are starting one of their starting guards is Andrus Peat. So they're missing some pretty significant pieces. And I know you can make a case, Arizona not having Marquise Brown is big, but you're adding Hopkins back in. I have no problem with a more elevated role for Rondale Moore, who looks like he's been trending in the right direction. And you laid it out. I mean, if Arizona can't get it done in this spot, then what are we doing here with these guys? Like, this is big. I also feel like Kyler Murray's going to step up for Cliff Kingsbury in this situation, right? Just to kind of calm maybe some of the hot seats that this guy's sitting on lately. So I'm on Arizona -2.5. I'm going to ride with you on that one. And then I am going to take the under on the Saints. And we can go back and forth on this. So you're on the over for the game. I'm not sure. I mean, if I had to, if somebody held a gun to my head and said, take a total for the game, I'd probably ride with you on the over 44 here. I would. I got to try to figure this out because the Cardinals in their last 4 games, nobody scored 21 points against them. Seattle, who had a really good offense so far this season, put up 19. The Eagles put up 20. The Rams put up 20. And Carolina put up 16. And in week 1, a game that they won against the Raiders, did that game go to overtime even? I think it went to overtime.
Yeah, they came back.
And they only allowed 23 points
in
that game. So I'm supposed to think that Andy Dalton with Chris Olave and his backup tight end are going to do something that the Eagles couldn't do, or Seattle that's had a great offense couldn't do. So I don't know. Something just doesn't add up here because the Cardinals defense doesn't look great. It's better against the run than it is against the pass, which is probably good for tonight considering Alvin Kamara is the main guy that you're going to have to shut down. But they just haven't allowed more than 20 points in the last month, and they're not even a good team. So I don't know. I'm going to take my play here is going to be the Saints under 20.5 points in a game that I still think could hit the over with that because I do think the Cardinals could put up 23, 27, 30 points tonight. So, I'm going to go Saints under 20.5 here.
You know what? You made a very convincing argument. I'll tell you what, I'm leaning more towards the Arizona -2.5 than I am the over right now because you're right. I mean, they have kept their opponents to relatively reasonable numbers. It's just been that their offense has stunk so much.
Yeah.
But on the other side of things, I mean, you take out Marshawn Lattimore, that is a big green light for Kyler Murray to get things going on the passing zone. And that's why, I mean, I'm in on DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, to me, as I said, I am picturing him in a savior type role for this team and this season beginning tonight. And with Lattimore out, Hopkins is going to get the ball. I'm not ssure about the number of receptions, and I know you're going to touch on that.
I'm going to get on that. Yeah.
I do like the over 61.5 because the bottom line is he really only needs 1 or 2 catches to get that number. DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray at some point will just rip it up in the air, chuck it, and it'll come down in DeAndre Hopkins' hands. So I like 61.5 over for the receiving yards. Really like that number for Nuke. And, with the questions about whether it's going to be James Conner, he's questionable tonight, game time decision. Benjamin will be able to go, but we saw what happened last week when Conner was out. Benjamin was almost a decoy to get Kyler outside of the pocket and running the football. He had 100 yards last week. That's still going to be a big, big part of their offense. I like Murray over 34.5 on the ground as well.
Yeah, the Hopkins, I should point this out right now. I got a text from P. Greggy. They've got a Hoppy Hour exclusive today, a special for the Thursday Nighter, and it's DeAndre Hopkins. Go to CoolBet, click on CoolBet exclusives, and the way it loaded on my computer, you had to click on it to expand it. There's 5 exclusives there right now. This one is DeAndre Hopkins, over 61.5 yards, and an anytime touchdown at +250.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm over it.
I'm already taking the over 61.5 right now.
Yeah.
And listen, I think that he comes back. I think he'll have plenty of opportunities to get in the end zone. And I think he's the most likely guy to do exactly that right now. So, guys, is this going to be another exclusive heist of CoolBet by the people today? I don't know. We'll see. They don't always come through, but man, we've had a good luck with a number of those. So I can officially tell you I'm pressing yes right now, +250 D-Hop. I'm already on the over 61.5. Let's get him in the end zone too.
Well, I'd feel better about this 4.5 if this was a 4.5, which is Rondell Moore's number, which is Zach Ertz's number. So I get it. I mean, Hopkins is going to be 5.5, and I know they've talked a little bit about, might be limited to like an 80% snap. But you said it right off the top, Huss. Arizona's got to have this. This is not DeAndre Hopkins coming in off of an injury. This is a healthy, motivated DeAndre Hopkins waiting to come in and essentially save their season. So I'm on Hopkins on all the overs for Hopkins tonight. I think the 61.5 is attainable. I'm going to take the over 5.5. Was listening to a podcast at somewhere over the last couple of days. They made an interesting point. I think the Kyler Murray passing yards number is at like 246.5 or something. In 13 home games with DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup, Kyler Murray has gone over 243.5 yards passing 11 of those 13 times. So, I mean, that could be something else you'd look at as well. But I think it should mean this ball is going to be moving through the air quite a bit tonight. So, Hopkins over 5.5 receiving yards, receptions. And then Zach Ertz. Ertz is very interesting because it's at 45.5, and I get it. Hopkins is back. But Marquise Brown was a big-time slot target. He's going to be out. That should open things up for him. Zach Ertz has finished over his player prop for receiving yards in 5 straight games, and the numbers have incrementally gone up. I've seen it as high as 47.5 at some places. Coolbet still got it locked in at 45.5, which I love. But his last 5 games, 75, 45, 47, 48, and 70 on 10 targets last week. I almost think this is close to the floor for Zach Ertz. So I'm going to take over 45.5 for Ertz here.
Yeah, I mean, even last week, they didn't throw to him in the first half. And then I think realizing the error of their ways basically threw to him every second play in the second half, and he got to that number. He's turned into the reliable target for Kyler Murray. No one else has been that so far this season until now with Nuke back in the lineup. So I think those are the two guys that we're going to be focusing on quite a bit. I do think Kyler Murray is going to get out of the pocket, and he'll get some of his rushing yards. And let's just hope we don't have another garbage Thursday night game. We've had enough terrible primetime games. We've got the Steelers and Dolphins coming up this weekend, and then Bears Patriots on Monday night. So even though these teams are 2-4, I do think that we could have an entertaining football game. But to me, it's all about the Arizona Cardinals. If they can get their act together, they've suffered without Nuke. They're 2-4 on the season. Now it's time to turn it around. And I'll tell you what, Cliff Kingsbury, I think, also needs this if he wants to stay long-term as the head coach of this Arizona Cardinals team.
One little touchdown sprinkle for you tonight. Tight end, Juwan Johnson, New Orleans Saints, plus 320 to score a touchdown tonight. No Adam Troutman in this game. He's going to be out there in that offense if/when they get into the red zone. And who else are they throwing the ball to? Plus, on top of it, Arizona's brutal against tight ends. They always have been under Cliff Kingsbury and his coaching staff. So I like plus 320 tonight. Juwan Johnson, touchdown for the New Orleans Saints. So if you're looking for a touchdown score tonight, a little bit of a longer shot, but I really like the way it shapes up considering you get to it's either going to be Kamara out of the backfield, Chris Olave, or probably this guy, Juwan Johnson. So I'm going to side with Johnson on a little TD here, Huss.
Well, and nice to see Olave back. I was kind of waiting to see what his status was after leaving with that concussion last week, but he's not on the injury report right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got quite a bit of the attention from Andy Dalton, but they're just so limited right now, both at the quarterback position, although I'm a Dalton fan. I mean, he's an adequate backup, but some of the other weapons that they just don't have right now, I think it could make for a long night for the Saints.
There you go. That's your Thursday episode of The Lock Shop, getting you set. We're both on Arizona minus 2.5. Huss is on the over 44. I'm on the under for the Saints at 20.5. We're all over Hopkins. We like Ertz. We like Murray on the ground over 34.5, and a little TD sprinkle for Juwan Johnson tonight at plus 320. Full best bets episode coming your way tomorrow right here with The Lock Shop, getting you ready for the rest of week 7 in the National Football League. Huss, we will talk to you then, buddy.
You got it, folks. And hey, don't forget daily exclusives. You got to open that sucker up. But hot off the presses, the Hoppy Hour, Hopkins over 61.5 and an anytime touchdown plus 250. I just locked it in.